So, manage privileged identities. This is another topic very well represented in the exam. Between 25 and 30% of the questions are related to this. Yeah, the first topic here, it's about enhanced security administrative environment, administrative forest design. This is not a product or role or a feature, it's just a collection of principles, design principles. Yeah. Not sure if you remember, maybe some of you, I do remember because I'm an old guy. I do remember Windows NT, for example. It was not possible at the time to establish, well, a forest environment of trust, and anytime we were building at the time, we were building manually the trust between domains and so, and it was a favorite policy to protect the environment at the time, to isolate, to put the administrators in a domain and the resources in another domain and so on. It's about this, yeah, actually. We're doing actually the same. And yeah, we're talking a lot about the clean source principle. Clean source principle means what? It's a philosophy, yeah? They're saying if you're, for example, accessing a protected environment but from an untrusted workstation, this is not according the clean source principle. You should have access to the protected resources just using a clean machine that actually everything on the machine, including the source of the operating system, trusted. Yeah. All software installed on the machine should be trusted, everything should be checked. You have to include, for example, checking even the hardware, like UEFI, TPM, and so, BitLocker, everything must be clean on it. And after that, you are good to connect the machine as an administrative account and to do some administrative stuff. Yeah, everything should be, if a single chain, link in this chain is broken, so most probably everything is broken. So we're not talking about a consistent security. So this is basically idea to install a separate forest for the admin accounts to establish one-way trust relationship. And one way, why one way is not a normal two-way relationship? Because, for example, in this scenario, the guys here, they are not able to do any task, to perform any task here. Just the guys here, admin accounts, they can do the reverse using this one-way trust, right? This is basically. And this is a philosophy. We're running on a secure virtualization fabric, and so implementing device guard, credential guard, BitLockers in order to protect the environment, to protect the workstations, and so on. Even software installation media should be checked. Yeah, I mean, all application, all apps must be signed, yeah, checking for code integrity. Even, you know, we have a big issue with this because sometimes it's not so complicated to publish a fake application using signed using stolen certificate. So it's still difficult to protect all links in the chain, for example. Yeah. Okay. Just-in-time administration. What is just-in-time administration? Well, it's typically an implementation of temporary accounts, administrative accounts, and you are giving to some accounts. It's based on this architecture, and actually using Microsoft Identity Manager, establishing automatically, it's creating, Identity Manager is creating automatically some shadow accounts in the administrative forest, yeah, of the accounts in the normal forest, yeah. And yeah, this is about, it's based on the philosophy of the seed history, yeah, disable seed filtering, and creating shadow accounts in the administrative forest using Microsoft Identity Manager. Yeah, we do have some PowerShell commandlets like PAM user, new PAM group, and so on. And we are assigning the administrative accounts in the administrative forest temporary access, for example, limited to 2 hours or half an hour, for example, to perform some administrative task. After half an hour, they don't have the ability to perform any admin task in the target domain of forest. Yeah. Just enough administration. This is another feature available in Windows Server 2016 and Windows 10 as well. We are creating an environment, especially for PowerShell remote management. Because now, the typical scenario, if an user able to have access to an administrative console of PowerShell can do remotely everything. But using, creating a dedicated limited environment, we're calling this endpoint, you are assigning to an endpoint just very limited commandlets that actually a user accessing remotely a machine can perform. So, for example, able to restart a service but not restart the full machine. Even blocking the ability to read files. You can, for example, you can restart the machine, you can restart services, but you are not able to read a single file from that machine you are connected to using a PowerShell remote console. Yeah? This is about the philosophy behind just enough administration. So you are building a role capability file including just the commands that your admin user connected to a remote machine using PowerShell console, remote console, must be able to do. Just a very limited collection of the commandlets available. And you are creating a session configuration file. You are registering this session configuration file, and after that, you are assigning a user to this endpoint. Enter PSA session. The user is entering this session using that configuration file, and in PowerShell, this guy able to perform only a very limited number of the admin tasks. So you are limiting the ability of remote users in PowerShell. This is a very good feature in order to protect the environment, to protect our remote host from PowerShell attacks. So privileged access workstations. What is a privileged access workstation? A computer you are using just for performing privileged tasks, like remote access. You can connect to a server, for example, maybe a jump server, just from a particular machine. And you are limiting the ability to connect for a user, to connect to an admin console from another machine. And so you are just using this, you are using group policy in order creating some restriction based on the group policy to use. And device guard, app locker policy, BitLocker, credential guards may be used in order to implement this protected access workstation. Yeah, we have some GPO dedicated group policy settings, PowerShell scripts for this. Yeah, please be familiar with this option. Yeah, we have another feature in Windows Server 2016, which is this one: Windows Defender Remote Credential Guard. What means this? Actually, this is a big threat because, for example, if you're connecting using a remote session, remote desktop session to a machine, a workstation, and from that workstation to another server, yeah, for admin purpose in the multiple hop implementation. So basically, you are sending your credentials to that machine, and that machine can use that. And somebody having control, access to that machine, hacking that machine you are connecting to, can hack the credentials. So the basic idea is using a scenario like Windows Defender Remote Credential Guards, you are not sending anymore the credentials to the remote machine you are connecting to. Well, the Kerberos, the philosophy behind this, the Kerberos authentication is sent back to your machine. So you don't have to, you still can solve scenarios like multiple hop connection, but the credentials are not sent to the next remote machine. Instead, previously we had restricted admin mode using remote desktop. And restricted admin mode is just blocking sending the credentials. So you cannot solve anymore. It's protecting your credentials, but it's not valid for a multiple hop scenario. I mean, connecting to a machine and from that machine to connect to another, remotely to another machine. So please be familiar with this, this philosophy, yeah, both options here. Local administrator password solution. What is this? Well, actually, it's not new. It was in the previous version of Windows Server, but surprisingly, not so many admins are very familiar with this. Yeah, actually, it's implementing a solution for managing the remote, managing the local admin password automatically based on group policy and so. Because you know, a big threat for our environment is that when people are setting up the same admin password for multiple machines environment for convenience. And of course, this is a lateral, it's facilitating a lateral attack. If a single password is disclosed, okay, hackers are able to take control of all machines in the environment. Instead, this local administrator password solution, it's establishing a random password for any machine in your network that actually you don't have to set manually. It's changing automatically from time to time. You have to control, you can retrieve this information and so on. But it's a very good solution for such potential attack of lateral attack. Yeah. Okay, so I have here another question. In order to implement the local administrator password solution, well, not sure if it's too complicated, but it's not. In fact, it's not so difficult to answer to. Maybe I can help you because our time it's very limited. So modify the permission for the computer account of finance server A. Why? Because you want to implement random password on this machine, this ability, but this machine should have the ability to write, permission to write in Active Directory, because it's setting up a new password, and this password is stored in an attribute, additional attribute in the Active Directory. So this computer should have the ability to write an Active Directory to modify the value of the new password there. Yeah, that's the basic idea. It's not so complicated, but you have to, it's a bit confusing sometimes, yeah. This, because they say you are installing the PowerShell module for this, but you are not installing labs on this machine. This machine is just a client for this service. Yeah,